Otherwise, you have to pop out from the meeting. I think, yeah, that seemed to work.
Yeah, looks good.
So, yeah, Robbie, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so thanks, Jonas. So yeah, brief introduction. So my name's Robbie Harrigan, one of the sales team for Yakima Chief Hops here in Europe. And I take care of Ireland, Scotland, Sweden, Finland, and a couple of breweries in Iceland as well. So that's my territory. So work closely with the guys at Caldic, to make sure you guys can access the best hops and hop products, including the products we'll be discussing today. Two really exciting new products. Both were launched this year, very new into the market, both different, both very effective. So we've got a presentation planned. I think the meeting is scheduled for 90 minutes. We may not need all of that, but we'll make sure there's some time towards the end for any questions you guys may have, or any questions about Yakima Chief or the products or anything else. So we'll make sure there's some time for that. Yeah, I mean, I'll attempt, Jonas, to share my screen and do it correctly. I'm not super familiar with
with Google. You have the in the middle at the bottom, it's a square box with an arrow in.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
And then you actually have to click on the picture you want to show. So it's
right. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
have we got that?
Seemed to work. Perfect.
Perfect. Glad we practiced earlier, Jonas. Okay. So yeah, two products we'll be looking at today, what we call part of our boost products. So they are HyperBoost and DynaBoost, both new liquid products designed for maximum efficiency without compromising on any flavor or aroma in your brewery. So let's get started. So with any presentation we do, we just like to give people a reminder, for those who maybe aren't so familiar with Yakima Chief Hops, sort of who we are, what we do, and why we do things. So our mission is to connect our family hop farms with the world's finest brewers, to provide them with the finest quality hop products and uncompromising service for the ultimate benefit of our customers, employees, and growers. With our vision to be the global hop supplier of choice, we've got a great passion for the land that serves us, that supplies our hops. We want to make sure we treat that with respect and dignity at all times. So yeah, I mentioned just then that we're owned by hop growers. So we are the only hop company globally that is owned 100% by hop growers. So that's something we're really proud of. There's 14 families that make up the grower ownership of our company, spread across the Pacific Northwest. Majority of those are in Washington State, but you can see there's a few growers in Oregon. And alongside those guys, we source hops from probably 30 or 40 other farms throughout the hop growing region. So yeah, all part of one big hop growing family. So it's yeah, privilege to work for those guys and kind of market their hard work across the globe. So so yeah, we'll get started with DynaBoost. So I can't see all of your faces, but feel free to kind of hit pause and ask if any questions throughout. Just let me know. I hope there's some people on the call who already use the product, and ideally after the call there'll definitely be some of you guys who will use the product, but some of you guys may be familiar with these products and some of you, these may be brand new, but we'll start from the start and we'll go through. So firstly, what is DynaBoost? Previously known as Trial 702, it's an extremely flowable oil-enriched whirlpool hop extract. It's designed to maximize the aromatic contributions while increasing, and you kind of see this as a bonus, yields within the brew house. It's produced from single hop varietals. It's a proprietary process that's unique to Yakima Chief, and the idea is, following on from our research into survivable compounds and work-soluble compounds, that this is a product that's packed full of those to deliver maximum impact into your beer. One key point of both of these products is there's no carriers or solvents used within them. They are pure 100% hop compounds or hop products. So there's no propylene glycol or ethanol used to carry the products. It's all hop derived. So yeah, the idea for both of these products is that they are as easy to use as possible. You know, these products, there are maybe some other products on the market that maybe require some special handling or some special processes, but these are meant to be as easy as possible to use. You know, you can just open it up, pour it straight into the vessel. It doesn't require any special practices. So yeah, the idea is you're reducing that solid matter into your whirlpool or other vessel, reducing your waste stream, and then at the same time they're concentrated products, so you're shipping less physical product to start with, which obviously has a lot of positive benefits as well. Here's an overview of the current varieties we have this product available in. We hope as the product grows and more people adopt it, we can increase the range of varieties that we offer. You know, maybe next year we'll have things like Crush, the new variety, available, and maybe expand it into some other varieties from other countries, maybe some New Zealand hops, things like that. So yeah, we're going to keep adding to that family. In terms of dosage rate, our starting point is kind of 1 to 10 versus T90 pellets. So it's nice and simple in terms of your calculations. So replace 10 kilogram of type 90 pellets with 1 kilogram of DynaBoost. There's no super complex calculations to use it. It's pretty much 1 to 10, again, designed to be as simple as possible. And as we mentioned, it's very high oil content. It's very pourable. Jonas, I noticed you guys did a beer with, was it Fermentarana in Gothenburg?
Yeah, Fermentarana and Apex as well.
Yeah. And were you there on the brew days?
Not me. It was Nils and Tobias who did the brews. I wasn't participating, unfortunately.
No, I know. I saw some pictures, and I hope they noticed that take the top off and just pour it straight in. It's not just scoop it out or scrape it out or anything like that. It just flows straight into the vessel. Super easy. We recommend, obviously, like every hot product, keep it cold, store it in the refrigerator. Just at the start of the brew day, take it out, and by the time you need to use it, it'll be ready to go. So yeah.
A question is it's you should treat it as ordinary hops, but the shelf life is it similar to T90 or T45? Or
I mean, we recommend, same as with a bag of pellets. I think you want to be using the whole bag if you can. If you use it all, as soon as you open it, as we know, that the degradation begins, and you can seal it. I know some people, they flush their hot bags with CO2, but you kind of started the process as soon as you've opened it. So yeah, store it cool. We say here that once opened, we recommend that the product is used as quickly as possible, ideally within 1 month. That's not to say that after a month it will be spoiled or not fit for use, but you may see some potential signs of oxidation or just a degradation really in intensity of aroma and flavor, and that's obviously not what you want. So use it as quickly as you can and as soon as you can. Again, similar to you wouldn't want a bag of open hot pellets to be kind of hanging around in your brewery for too long, because they will start to degrade. So
the sooner you use it, the brighter aromas.
Exactly.
I mean, as Robbie says, this doesn't mean that it spoils, and if you keep it in refrigeration, there is no trouble at all.
Yeah, you might just start to lose some of those top notes. So yeah. An overview of kind of just the raw data for the product. So it's packaged in 1 kilogram containers at the moment. We try to standardize it to be 20% oil content across the varieties. Obviously, comparing something like a Chinook to a Sabro, there's going to be a slightly different oil content there. So when we produce it, we try and standardize it to be as kind of consistent as possible. One thing to be wary of is obviously there is a high alpha acid content in the product. So obviously make sure you account for that when doing your calculations, just in terms of utilization in the whirlpool. But yeah, pretty straightforward, to be honest. Yeah, we try and shoot for that 20% oil content, so it's it's a higher oil content than perhaps comparable products on the market. Just an overview of some sensory data. We're really lucky at Yakima Chief. If anyone's been fortunate enough to visit our facility in Yakima, we have a bespoke brew house in the facility, a 5-barrel brew house where we have a dedicated research and development brewer who brews day in, day out. He brews 300 beers a year, testing for various things. So basically we produce 2 beers, one with T90 pellets and one with the equivalent quantity of DynaBoost. And it may be a little small on your screens, I apologize, but essentially our sensory team and our sensory panelists detected no significant difference in the profile of the finished beers. And that's kind of the messaging we're using when we speak to brewers, is that you can replace some pellets in your brew and there'll be no difference, and we view that as a positive thing. You can substitute a liquid into your beer or your wort and it'll have no negative effect on the aroma or flavor. So that's been really exciting to see that it's pretty much a straight substitute for those pellets, and then you can benefit from an increase in yield, an increase in packageable beer further down the line. As mentioned on this slide, so this was a handful of panelists that did some trials for us, and we looked at them. We asked them to assess their yield change when using the product, and you can see that the majority saw an increase in yield, which is great. The largest section of those surveyed saw up to 5% increase in yield, which is substantial across the course of a brewing year. 5% increase in yield across every batch is, it's a few kegs for every brew. That soon starts to add up, and with no increase in input cost, it's free beer essentially, which is great. When times can be still quite challenging, you can have more beer to sell. It's 2 kegs every brew. Brewing 3 or 4 times a week, whatever. It soon stacks up across the course of a year. So really pleased to see that. Obviously, it depends on your brewery and your practices, but that seems to be, on average, we've seen most breweries report an increase in yields, which is great. So yeah, I'll hit pause there. Has anyone got any questions on DynaBoost at the moment?
I have one.
What?
I'm a bit curious. It says that it's only for Whirlpool.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you use it for dry hopping, for instance?
You make a mess, essentially.
Okay.
It's quite a viscous product. So the breweries that have tried it, it was really funny when we were trialing it. The guys from Russian River put a great picture on Instagram of them pouring it straight into a fermenter. And, a lot of brewers will say, if Russian River are doing it, then we're going to do it. And it was great. They were super happy with the beer. But because it's quite a viscous substance, it can struggle to properly mix into cold beer or cold wort and then cling to the side of the tanks. What we are seeing is a really great option is, if anyone's familiar with dip hopping, so that's diluting it in a small portion of hot wort till it's dissolved, adding that to the fermenting vessel, and then adding your chilled wort on top of that. That seems to be quite an effective method.
Yeah, that's actually what we did with Apex when we tried the DynaBoost.
Awesome.
With them. Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to be. We had one of our UK sales team did a beer with a brewery in London last week. They used Idaho 7. They said it smelled amazing, and that seems to be a really good way. Especially, I know in the UK, a lot of breweries still don't have Whirlpool vessels, so that's kind of a good shortcut. If maybe you're not able to get, what we do recommend is that when adding it to the Whirlpool, there needs to be a good amount of agitation so it mixes readily. Otherwise, you may see it cling perhaps to the side of the tank or to the vessel. But yeah, dip hopping seems to be a great solution for it for sure.
Yes, for the dry hopping would be a waste. First of all, because it needs certain isomerization, needs certain temperature. Because if not, you don't get the full aroma. You will not take advantage of this 22% of the oil content. And in the second hand, you will really need to have a larger cleaning protocol, your soda cycle, because it will be really sticky. So you're not really efficient in terms of aroma infusion. And second, you need extra cleaning. So if you want to try just to see the limits, but currently with the HyperBoost existing right now, it doesn't make much sense. I've seen really successful stories at deep hopping. You get a lot of survivable compounds previous to the fermentation, so you have a very enriched wort, and then with depending on the yeast you are using, you can have amazing new aromas out of the biotransformation. But even though it gets the bottom of the fermentation vessel gets sticky.
Yeah, I've seen some cases where it takes maybe 2 or 3 CIP cycles to clean the tank.
Yes.
Not ideal.
Sure. Extra cycling, and maybe even enlarging the soda percentage versus the regular protocol.
So yeah, essentially, no need for dry hopping because we have HyperBoost, which is perfect, and they work in cooperation with each other really well. So you can load, as Xavi said. So thanks for that, Xavi. You can use the DynaBoost to really kind of flood the wort stream with the survivable compounds. Really set it up for biotransformation, and then you can layer on the HyperBoost to really add those top notes, and end up with just a beer that has crazy aromatics. So yeah, DynaBoost was launched. Would you say it's kind of April time, wasn't it, Xavi? I believe it's commercialized in April, and then in July we commercialized HyperBoost. So still only a few months into the market. Still a very new product, a very exciting product. We kind of built from the initial success of DynaBoost and said, well, how can we, provide an option that is for the cold side as well, which is obviously huge focus for lots of craft brewers or many craft brewers. So let's move into that. So similar to DynaBoost, what is HyperBoost? Excuse me. So it's a concentrated hop oil product. You can see in the picture there, it's a sort of semi-clear product. It has the kind of, it looks like a cooking oil essentially. The same sort of viscosity as a cooking oil. Again, using a novel and secret production technique, whereas DynaBoost is standardized to 20% oil content. With HyperBoost, it's variety specific, so we don't do any standardization. What comes out is specific to the variety, so we say no less than 40% oil content. We've seen some varieties come through production and be more like 80% oil content. So it's an extremely potent product. So much so that there's a lot of back and forth with kind of regulations and shipping, where some people actually tried to classify it as a flammable product because it was so full of oil. But we smoothed that out. And the goal was similar. It's the idea to amplify and intensify those hop aromatics while increasing your yields throughout the brew house. So it's great to have both products. Both products are extremely exciting, but I think HyperBoost is especially exciting because there is nothing else like it in the market right now. You could argue that DynaBoost, there's been similar products in the market for a little while, but HyperBoost is brand new. It's not something we've seen before. So similar again, increased efficiency, ease of use, a real increase in aroma. I do have a little sample here in my desk. I don't know if you can see that, but that's kind of what the product looks like. You see it's super flowable. So it's super easy to use. Super high concentration of those survivable compounds, and a reduction in the waste stream further down the line. So an overview of the current availability, again similar, but we're really excited at the moment. We've got some Crush in stock, the new variety. And it's really exciting to have a new variety already and a new product type. So how do you use it? A little different to to DynaBoost. One thing we should say is you can use it on the hot side. It does work, but it really is sort of marketed and designed to be a cold side product. A few little kind of tips and tricks to use it is that for dry hop, we don't recommend using it as 100% of your dry hop charge. We do recommend that you retain some pellets or some cryo pellets in there, just for that kind of body, I suppose, and some of that polyphenol content. You know, it's so intense and so fruity that, you know, you need something to really kind of round out the flavors. And then we do recommend you can use it up to 100% of your Whirlpool additions. Again, really impactful. And you can just layer those survivable compounds and those flavor and aroma compounds into the beer. Like most kind of Whirlpool doses, you can expect a better retention of aromatic compounds at a lower temperature. But we don't say that, you know, you need to super cool the wort before adding it. It's kind of the idea of it being easy to use, that you don't modify your brewing processes too much. You know, if you've got a process dialed in, you don't have to then suddenly start actively cooling the wort or whatever it may be. So yeah, dosage rate, which is probably the most important slide. Whereas DynaBoost was a 10-to-1 versus T90. HyperBoost, we say 100-to-1, if not up to 125-to-1. So, you know, as little as 8 grams of the product can replace up to a kilogram of T90. So it's yeah, it's pretty intense. So yeah, we recommend start it off at kind of a start of that kind of 100-to-1 rate, and then kind of tweak it like any process. You know, everyone's brewery is different, everyone's process is different, and you might want just a small amount. We have seen good results with some breweries using it in lager production for kind of hop forward lagers, but just adding a tiny amount is just enough to give the aroma and flavor they want. So your brewery, you know, whatever you want, it's specific to you. But yeah, start at that 100-to-1 and then kind of tweak it to your requirements. Storing it, you may have seen in the first slide, it's packaged in these small aluminium bottles. The standard size is 100 grams, which is equivalent to 10 kilograms of hops. There is a kilogram bottle option, I guess, for some larger breweries, or those who wanted to dry hop at crazy rates. There's an option there, but 100 grams is the standard size. We recommend storing it cold. You know, be stable for up to 2 years. And again, we recommend using it all at once if you can. Again, once that lid has been removed and oxygen's been introduced, you've started the process of degradation. So if you can use as much of it at once as you can, that would be great. Some feedback from brewers, again, this is kind of anecdotal, so it's not something we're saying is the truth, but some brewers have seen the product has good aromatic properties, you know, up to 6 months after opening, as long as you keep it chilled, of course. But again, you probably expect to see maybe some of those top notes just drop away slightly. But yeah, use it as quickly as you can and as much as you can at once to really get the most out of the product. Yeah, it's a really exciting product, and yeah, we're really proud to be able to market it. Again, just an overview of the kind of the raw analytics. We've got, again, still a relatively high alpha content, so just be mindful of that when doing your calculations. And again, we shoot for at least 40% oil content in all finished products, you know, to really guarantee that impact into the finished beer. So a few just quirks on sort of the difference. Obviously, there are similar products, but there are some differences. They're both concentrated hop oil products, you know, created from CO2 extraction, but then some unique processes down the line. Again, you are brewers, and we encourage you to experiment. So you can try HyperBoost on the hot side and DynaBoost on the cold side, but we do recommend that DynaBoost is a Whirlpool hot side product, and HyperBoost has been recommended as a cold side addition, and that's what it's kind of been developed for. both with high concentrations of hop oil, so really, really impactful products, and a really good way of, packing even more hop aroma and flavor into your finished beer. And they're both super easy to use. Both very flowable at room temperatures. HyperBoost will be, because of the high oil content, will remain flowable even below freezing. It really helps when it is introduced into finished beer or cold beer. So kind of an overview there, and some similarities and some differences, as I mentioned. A really great point is there's no carriers or emulsifiers. So if it comes to kind of labeling requirements or any kind of regulations such as that, there's no other products being introduced at the same time. They're all hop derived. It's all hop products. We see an excellent flavor match, as I mentioned in the sensory overview there, to T90 or Cryo. I know from hop products maybe 10 years ago that some people may have used, there was, maybe some skepticism or some uncertainty around using them because they maybe had some artificial or synthetic or kind of was like a flavoring rather than an actual hop product. But these, these taste and smell like the real deal because they are. So and then just an overview of where the products can be used. Very straightforward. DynaBoost and the Whirlpool to really, as we say, maximize that contribution of survivable compounds, but then you can add HyperBoost on top of that to just add those top notes. Think of it as if the DynaBoost kind of sets the foundation, just kind of the base level of flavor and aroma, and then you can add those really bright, intense top notes at the end with the HyperBoost. While continuing to use some T90 Cryo whole cones, whatever you conventionally use. These are seen as like you can replace those, but you can also complement those as well and really add more.
May I ask a question again?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
With HyperBoost and dry hopping, is the aroma effect instant or does it need some time, exactly as normal T90?
It's pretty quick. So I made this just before the call started. So it's just some sparkling water, added some HyperBoost, very small amount, and within a couple of minutes, there's a really good aroma and flavor impact. Xavi, I'm not sure what your feedback is from your customers, but we see an impact pretty quickly from HyperBoost, especially.
Yes, it's really fast because the absorption is immediate. I mean, some brewers, they may use it in the beginning in the dry hopping with regular T90 or Cryo, but others even choose, for example, people that are centrifuging, they use as additional dry hopping at the end. And the only thing you have really to ensure is that there is a kind of agitation in order to because the amounts, the quantities are so small that you have to ensure that gets mixed properly. But out of these can be done just some minutes, some before packaging. This is also a very, very strong point of the aroma of HyperBoost.
Absolutely, yeah. So as Xavi says, we recommend the ideal point is adding it kind of maybe pre-ferment or adding at the start of fermentation. It allows for any potential biotransformation. It also means that obviously the movement in the beer of fermentation will help mix it well. You can add it using the dip method, as we previously discussed. There's some breweries I've seen who maybe have a bucket of their pellets or cryo pellets and they pour it over the top. The idea is that maybe it binds to some of that solid matter and enters the beer more readily. That's their theory and it works for them. But like we said, it's meant to be easy to use, so dose it at any point. We're not expecting any brewery to radically adjust or modify their processes. One point kind of feedback from brewers, if adding it post-fermentation, when maybe the activity in the beer has slowed down or when the beer is cooler, you may need to agitate or recirculate the beer with some CO2 just to help mix it in and make sure it it's properly mixed throughout the beer. But yeah, nothing crazy has to be done to add it. That's the idea. It's meant to be super easy to use and super impactful. So, and again, some feedback from a trial beer we brewed out in Yakima. We replaced some of the Whirlpool charge with HyperBoost. And in this instance, we actually saw an increase in berry, citrus, and tropical aromas. Perhaps the method behind that was by reducing that solid matter, you're able to introduce more and more into that and see a spike in those characteristics. So and that seems to be some of the feedback, again, Xavi, from my customers, but maybe from yours, that they've brewed a beer they conventionally brew, and then they've replaced some of the T90 or cryo with HyperBoost, and they've actually seen a spike in hop aroma and flavor. Yeah.
No real difference in the profile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The point maybe less woody, understanding the woody to the resinous profile, and maybe we get more fruit, more easy drinking aromas.
Again, a question.
No, great. Keep questions coming. It's great.
But regarding, I presume you have a decrease in haziness if you use HyperBoost, or
potentially.
Robbie, please. Then I'll answer back. Sure. No.
We've had lots of questions on haze and differences in haze. Arguably, there's less hop matter going in there. And less, whether it's polyphenols or something like that going in there. But essentially, there's such a small amount going in there that it has little to no impact on the finished beer. I don't know about you, Xavi. I've not had any concerns on that side.
For example, in New England IPAs, of course, you're looking for the haziness. You need the polyphenol, but the single polyphenol percentage in T90 would be roughly 4%, 4 to 5%. I mean, this is what we really reduce. And some brewers, they prefer, maybe not just for the yield or for the efficiency, but in terms of getting the oil experience or boosting aromas, they prefer adding some and then going with more cereal on the cereal side, on the grain side, in non-fermentables, in order to get the haziness from the. Of course, we'll lose certain haziness with a HyperBoost, but probably if we balance what we really get from the dry hop, rather than what we boost in the aroma side, maybe it makes sense going for HyperBoost. In hazy beers or in big beers, probably again it's understood as addition of aroma rather than searching for just the yield.
Yeah, thanks, Xavi. Okay, we'll keep moving. So here's a nice little kind of visual overview of kind of just showing, I guess, in real time what your savings can be. So here's a recipe put together by some colleagues in the US, fairly standard West Coast IPA recipe. I think it's 35 hectoliters, all T90 pellets. So we've got a total of 52 kilos going into the beer. And the first change we would make is to replace the Whirlpool edition with DynaBoost. And that immediately, by replacing 14 kilos of hops with 1.4 kilos of DynaBoost, that removes approximately 12.5 kilograms of hops from the overall brew, which is in its, by itself, that's significant. That's over 20%. And then the extension of that is to then replace some, as we said, not all of the dry hop. We want to retain some T90 and cryo there, but replace some of the dry hop with HyperBoost. So replaced another 10 kilograms with 100 grams of HyperBoost. And that 52 kilograms initial hop charge is almost halved down to 29 kilograms. In this example, if you expect a kilogram of hops to absorb somewhere between 10 to 15 litres of wort/beer, there's potential for over 300 litres of liquid to be saved. So in this particular example, as we saw in the US, up to 8% increase in yield, which is huge. And if you were to do that, again, a few brews a week, 10, 20 brews a month, it really adds up. And again, for no increase in input cost, there's a lot of extra beer that you can enjoy and sell, most importantly, which can really help. So, not only are you getting arguably a more aromatic, more exciting beer, you're getting more of it, which is, really, really impactful. So that's just an example. Your reality may be different, but we really encourage you to trial it and see how it works in your brewery, and see what yield increases you can expect, and more importantly, enjoy and make the most of. So yeah, and then just a visualization of how that impacts in terms of freight and storage. We start with a pallet of 500 kilograms of hops, which is our standard pallet size. Moving down to cryo, you halve that. You roughly halve that. DynaBoost, at that point, you're at 10%. 50 kilograms of DynaBoost, and then it's just 5 kilograms of HyperBoost is equivalent to a pallet of hops. So the difference that would make in your storage, instead of looking for a whole space for a pallet, you can just put one small box on a shelf in your refrigerator. So it's things like that. And then you look at the impact in terms of, the CO2 output for shipping those hops. We are working on, every year we release what we call our impact report. So what we are looking at is, obviously there are more processing inputs required for these products. So it's not as easy as saying they're more efficient, but we are looking at reporting on the overall impact of these products, to produce them and ship them, and to see how much more impactful they are in that sense. We know a lot of breweries now, sustainability is very near the top of their list of focuses. So we try to lean into that as well. So it's quite a nice visual demonstration where one pallet of hops can essentially be reduced into one 5 kilogram carton. So all a very important part of the conversation. Great, so we'll hit pause there again. I realize that's a lot of information I've just thrown towards you guys, so we've got plenty of time to kind of hit pause, and yeah, if you've got any questions, yeah, Chavi and myself are here. So
don't be shy. Ask some questions, please.
One thing I wanted to comment from HyperBoost, we suggest to start maybe 30% substitution versus T90 or cryo. This is focused, of course, in existing recipes. I mean, you have a beer, has a name, has a surname, has a pattern of flavor and aroma. I think that, yes, we have to be a little bit shy and not going really high. But for a new development, a new beer, a collab, or a big beer, could go probably about 50%. In fact, not just for the haziness, but we need, in craft beer, we need the polyphenol, we need some deeper layers in terms of aroma. But if you have, for example, a very enriched whirlpool, and you just want, or you understand, maybe in a soft beer, you want just a finishing aroma, you could use perfectly in very high percentage the HyperBoost for sure. And the yield is incredible. It's that amazing, this ratio 100, that with 100 grams is the equivalent to 10 kilos. This is I mean, you can even save 90 liters in a fermenter.
Yeah, it's enormous. Yeah.
It's really a lot. But of course, hop forward breweries, and if we go back to breweries that are looking for this incredible experience in terms of aroma and flavors, then we have to understand the HyperBoost like an amplifier. And maybe as a suggestion, those brewers that love to have a second dry hopping, because in the first you cannot absorb aroma and it seems a waste, so you decide to do it in 2 different steps. I would definitely recommend in the second step, in this second dry hopping, going for HyperBoost. You got all the layers, all the complexity, you have a good whirlpool, you have a first dry hopping, and then the second one is just finishing the beer. And also, after tasting, you may decide the amounts you may adjust, so can be understood as well as a aroma correction. I had a customer that had in an existing recipe, they needed a little bit more aroma. So at the end, just the day before packaging, they decided to boost a little bit. So this also HyperBoost helps in this side. As we commented, it's so easy to use that you only have to ensure that it integrates properly. But once this is done, it's like a plug and play. You just add, you adjust your aroma, and you can start packaging.
Yeah, perfect example, Chavi. Yeah, using it as, there's been products in the market where you can correct bitterness if there's been an issue in the brewery, but aroma correction has probably not been there in this way before. So I've had a customer as well who's centrifuged the beer, ready for packaging, and has said it's not quite where I want it, and then they just added a very small quantity of HyperBoost just before packaging, and it's just given the beer that little lift that it needed. And as we said, the impact it's not immediate. It takes some time, but it's not 3 to 5 days like it would be with dry hopping. It's more like hours than days. So yeah, really exciting. There's a question in the chat from Maximiliano. We have done trials. Yeah, there's many breweries who've started to look to these products for alcohol-free beer or non-alcoholic beer. Again, it provides that flexibility that you might need for brewing those kind of products. Have you got any? We've definitely got a lot of customers in the US who've trialed it, and I think we've got some breweries in Europe who've, I think just really appreciate the flexibility and the impact, where you might not want to be heavily dry hopping a non-alcoholic beer just for kind of stability concerns or process concerns, but actually you can get really effective aroma and flavor into the beer, or non-alcoholic beer, I should say, very, very easily. So yeah, and that actually leads us on quite nicely. Didn't choose to talk about alcohol-free beer, but a really growing market for us and our customers is hot water. I'm not sure if that's Jonas. I'm not sure how much of that you see where you are.
Not much at all. We have some in Finland, I know.
Jaakko, maybe you see some of that. Where I am, I'm based in the UK. That is something that a lot of breweries are starting to experiment with. In the US, it's a really rapidly developing market, and it's seen as a really good outlet for a lot of breweries. But again, maybe there hasn't been the methods in place to produce it consistently and easily. We find that, Chavi used the phrase plug and play. HyperBoost especially is kind of almost tailor-made for this option. So I think this is similar in most markets. There's more and more people are looking more closely at alcohol consumption. We have, especially it's a big thing in the UK, we have Dry January. There's a new one called Stoptober, where people are choosing to stop drinking for a month. And I think you could argue, seeing some studies here, that some of the younger generations generally are drinking less, but maybe still want to enjoy the flavors of hops. So yeah, for you as a brewery, why would you, or why should you? It's super refreshing. I've got some homemade stuff here. It is really good. It's profitable, rather than just giving out a glass of tap water. It's something that's unique to beer and brewing. It's a really good kind of conversation topic, good thing to discussion. You can still talk about hops without drinking a 7% IPA, for example. Low input costs, low production costs. Look at time the product will spend in tank. It doesn't require, 10 days of fermentation or whatever it may be. Certainly in the UK, at least, there's no taxation on this product. It might maybe different in the market. So it's a really good option to kind of explore as a brewery. And like I say, it's a very interesting product. We've got a kind of a sample recipe here. We'll share this presentation afterwards, so you can take this away with you. But this is the process that we've put together at YCH. We won't get too into it, but essentially you want some deaerated water, which you can produce just by boiling in your kettle for 15 minutes, for example. One thing to make sure your kettle's clean, so there's no kind of worry of color pickup. Some citric acid just to lower the pH into a more stable range, and then HyperBoost added into the tank. Yeah, it's a really interesting product. We won't play it now because it won't not come through very well. But there's a video we've just launched on our YouTube channel, so Yakima Chief Hops on YouTube, that kind of covers the basics of producing hop water, which is really great. And that's with Outskirts Brewing in Yakima, with one of our ex-colleagues who now runs that facility. That's not for everyone as a brewery customer, but it's a really kind of interesting thing to have in your lineup that is kind of low cost and not low effort. So it takes effort, but it's less probably labor intensive than producing a beer. So yeah, I don't think there's any more content there. There's another video on the YouTube channel as well about how to brew with DynaBoost, formerly YCH 702, with Von Ebert Brewery in Portland. Again, that covers a lot of the basics and just shows how the product looks kind of in time and in a brew house setting. So yeah, encourage you guys to go and search those videos out. They're not long; they're only about 4 or 5 minutes each, just over a cup of coffee. Just check those out. Cover all the basics. Yeah. Yeah, I think that just leads on to any final Q&A. Yeah, go ahead. Any questions?
Yeah, hello. My name is Rolf from Sebab's Husbryggeri. I wonder, do you have some smaller package for test issues?
Not at the moment, no. It's 100 grams for HyperBoost and 1 kilogram for DynaBoost. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the cost for those packages?
I don't have exact figures, but you look at the essentially the concentration factor is equivalent to the cost of the pellets per kilogram. So if it's 10 to 1 for DynaBoost, you look about 10 times the cost and 100 times for HyperBoost, but it's all proportional to the dosage rate. So as well as a yield saving, you could argue there's actually a slight cost saving there as well, because when you look at the increase in yield versus the similar input costs, there's some money to be made there for sure. So.
About low alcohol beers or nearly alcohol free, HyperBoost is really positive because you will not get enzymatic activity. I mean, it's no maltose, so this is good news. Even if I don't know the regulations in the Nordics, but in certain countries, as you know, if you go above certain percentage of ABV, then this beer can no longer be sold as non-alcohol. So this is important, and of course the trend in this kind of beers is even flash, but going to pasteurization to avoid possible problems in distribution. If it's not a tap room or a brew pub beer, there is a lot of concern with low alcohol beers. But HyperBoost definitely is an excellent tool, not just for the hop creep. It's just to avoid any additional enzymatic activity from the hop. One thing I wanted to comment, maybe now you don't see the hop water as a product that there is interest in the market. We just suggested a recipe of certain percentages, what it's really important that always follow the local food and safety regulations. I mean, hop water is very easy. It's very affordable because with 40 grams of HyperBoost, with 40% of one small flask, you can have 1,000 liters. I mean, this ratio of 4 grams per liter in the dry hopping or in the finishing, it's just 40 for 1,000 liters. You just need 40 grams. But I mean, keep the levels of pH low. I mean, in here, this is a new league. There is no alcohol. There is any barrier for the microbial microbial contamination. So can be a tricky product. Affordable, very easy to have, but please take in mind in terms if you go canning or kegging it, ensure a cleaning protocol and having final test or not just the pH levels, but especially for microbial potential contamination.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a question from Jessica.
Yes, please.
I'm not sure. You should be able to unmute yourself, Jessica. I hope.
Now you probably can hear me.
Yes,
Hi.
Perfect.
Hi, Jessica from Hope Notch here. Two kinds of questions. One of the benefits or good things with using hops is it's aseptic. So it actually protects us quite a lot. How much of those, that feature actually, it's traveled down in DynaBoost or the HyperBoost?
That is a great question, and I don't know the answer to that question. Chavi, I don't know if you can offer an insight.
No, I'm not able. It's really good question. I'm not able to say how much could we lose, no, with the non-presence of cellulose, non-presence of salts, even proteins. I mean, of course, we have plenty in both products, plenty of oil percentage from 20, 22 to 40. In DynaBoost, even we have certain waxes still, but we'll have to ask to our R&D team to know.
Yeah, I can ask some people.
We've got the alpha. We've got the alpha for sure.
If you brew in beer, you usually probably you won't use these products 100%, so you still have the protection, aseptic qualities of the hops. But I think about the hop waters.
Sure. Yeah.
The other question, any other, it's quite a lot of positive things and pros, but any other cons? Anything else if we start using these products, anything we should think about? How do they adhere to rubber in hoses, in the stainless steel, in the tanks, and so on?
So what we have seen from DynaBoost particularly is there is kind of a residue that's left behind, especially in the whirlpool. But as Chavi mentioned, the product contains some resins and waxes, and actually all the survivable compounds and the hop aromatics, those enter into solution pretty immediately. So you will see maybe some like kind of a slick on top of the whirlpool maybe at times, but that's nothing to be concerned about. And it may take, once you dial in your process, you may need to kind of just adjust your cleaning process to remove that. But as far as seeing that, there may be some concerns that there's things that haven't entered into the beer or the wort, but that's not the case. But it may be a case that you may have to just scrub those away.
But the early of these hop products, like 10, 15 years ago, they were absolutely amazing. They smelled nice in the beer, and 2 days later, everything got stuck in the hoses and in the inside of the tank. So,
yeah, that's not what we see for these. No, not at all. No.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Then we have Peter, who had some questions.
Well, my question is kind of piggybacking off Jessica's, because Jessica asked about the microbial protection of the hops. Those those are added by the beta hops. Do you know the amount of beta hops in there in these products? Because if you have the beta hops, then you have the protection. I don't know exactly how much you need to have in order to have this protection against the gram-positive bacteria, but it's the beta hops that you need for that.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So these products do contain beta acids, so maybe that's something to be said there. But we'll come back to you on that one. I'll speak to the R&D team and feed that back through to Jonas. Maybe we can just send out a summary of any questions that were asked. Yeah, great question though on that, because that's not one that I've even considered before. So yeah, thank you.
Sorry, beta acids, of course, not beta hops.
All good, all good. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Not sure if we have run out of questions.
Well, I can answer one maybe that hasn't been asked yet, but the answer is yes. They are available from Coldic immediately. So if you're desperate to go and buy some, I believe they have some ready to ship. I believe, Jonas. So
yeah, we have HyperBoost. We have, I have to check on the web page. We have 4 varieties for the moment in stock. And the DynaBoost, I think we have we have for the moment run out of Mosaic, but others we have in stock.
Excellent.
I have to ask my colleague Peter if when we
I've ordered more. I ordered more with Robbie earlier today.
Okay.
Perfect.
And we have more questions from both Jessica and from Peter. I think Jessica is the first in the queue.
Yeah, you know me, I never run out of questions. So.
Yeah, I'm happy for that, Jessica.
So we were installing some new tanks, so then I just missed the beginning of the presentation, so sorry for that. You maybe really already had addressed this, but the haze and the haze stability, or the New England IPAs. So do they contribute these products to the haze, and how does the haze stability, how is it actually?
We covered that near the start, but we don't see any kind of particularly negative impact on haze. Xavi mentioned if you especially with the HyperBoost in dry hopping, you are removing maybe some haze forming material from the beer, but you can accommodate that within your grist, or we do say that you maintain some T19 cryo in the dry hop with that product. And obviously they are concentrated products, so any kind of increase in haze is unlikely because the products are so concentrated, you're adding a small amount. Reduction in haze potentially with HyperBoost, but again, you can tweak things to accommodate for that, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, you will not get nothing negative from Dyna or HyperBoost.
Negative depends on what you want.
Yeah, no. But I mean, in terms of I don't know, even setting layers or making precipitate. I mean, you will not get nothing negative, but of course, the contribution to the haziness is not the same as pellet or even cryo.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Peter, did you have a? There you are.
Yeah, I'm here. Actually, I was kind of it should be theoretically possible to use an organic production because, of course, as you said, it's only 100% hops that these products are made from. But do you have some, or will you be providing Celtic with some paperwork for this in case you want to use it in organic production?
I don't believe it's currently certified for organic production. It is something we've been asked a lot, especially from our French customers in particular, have seen a real demand for this. I'm not sure the production is approved for organic, but I'm sure it's being looked at. And it's just the kind of the minefield that can become, I think, from production. But yeah, we've got obviously full safety data sheets, tech sheets. Whether that will be enough now to kind of to get it approved, I wouldn't like to say yes. But yeah, we definitely want to try and offer these, I think, long term, but it's hard to put a timeline on that right now, I think.
Currently, both are really new products, and also HyperBoost is a fraction of HyperBoost is raw material to perform the DynaBoost. I mean, the oil enrichment of the DynaBoost comes out of the HyperBoost. So we combine two products with the different varieties, and the more varieties we want to launch. The organic right now is not in this, at least in these or next years rather. We'll see. I mean, we have more production capacity, and of course, Peter, in organic we got to be very cautious in terms of certifying, analyzing a clean line, because if you have traces of pesticide in the hops, of course the ppms they are transferred in the oils. I mean, so probably this is a good question, and as a strategy for us, probably in the next future we will think about. But just this is so new that the commercial launching, the development of these products, that we are just in the first stage of production. Even some recommendations, for example, as with DynaBoost, we say 2 years. Let me say that the plenty shell life, probably it's 3, but we need a little bit more. We are really excited about both products, but we need more information. We need more from the point of production and from the point of understanding the product. The really good news versus other hop extracts, this is hops and only hops. No carrier, no emulsifier. I remember in the past some products for dry hopping on a ethanol base, and then you pour these in beer and you got artificial flavors. I mean, it was something that the people that we are used to craft, that we are used to the aroma and flavor of natural hops. This was an aroma, but definitely was not hop aroma, especially for craft. This time, Hyper and Dyna are true hop aromas, really positive for craft. Said so, HyperBoost in dry, in existing recipe, I would never go up 50% substitution.
Okay.
Thanks, Peter.
Yes,
don't be shy. I know we are in a Friday mood, but please take advantage of Robbie. And last question, come on.
Well, I can leave my or ask Jonas can pass on my details if there's something you think of
absolutely.
On Sunday that you want to ask. You know, we can make that happen.
Yeah, can match. I will. I'm not sure exactly how, but we will make this presentation available from our webpage as well, and the film of it as well.
Yep, perfect.
Jessica, you run out of questions now.
Yeah, I think I have. I have to look through the beginning of the presentation first, and then maybe I have quite a few more questions. But at the moment, I'm really satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I've got a final question. I've got a little question.
Go for it.
Not for you, Robbie. Actually, it's for the brewers listening.
Okay.
I'm a little bit curious of who has tried this stuff and who's interested in trying it. Any comment? I know you're going to try it, Jessica.
I haven't tried it yet, but I will. And as Peter knows, I have reduced my hop contracts here for the coming couple of years. Just so actually, I think that these new products is going to be definitely something we use in the brewery.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm planning ahead.
We're really keen on hearing a little report from you when you tried it out and see how it goes for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used some of the former products that Javi was talking about a couple of minutes ago. I haven't used these particular products, but I am looking forward to trying to use them. My only restriction, of course, like you can get from my question is that I'm a 100% organic brewery, so I have to be careful that I don't step over anyone's toes in the government, of course. But on top of that, hey, cheers, everyone! Like you said, it's a Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Tobias. When you have Apex released that beer you brew?
I'm not sure. I think so. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything back since we did the collaboration. Actually, I will check it out.
Yeah, it would be nice to try it.
Yeah.
Did you get any feedback from them afterwards?
It was mostly about the process. We haven't really talked about the beer since then, which is stupid actually. But I will look into it.
For you who are not so familiar with the chat function, we have Benens. We have already tried it, and at Nailio Brewing, both Dyna and HyperBoost. Super happy with the stuff. Just got a new West Coast IPA out of it with Centennial Hyper. So planning to using them also in the future. It felt like it elevated the beer to a different level. For us, the cleaning was quite easy with the caustic CIP right after brewing.
Perfect. That's what we like.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Vince.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's great. It's nice to see it. It's obviously one thing for us to sit here and say it and say this is what will happen, but for you guys to go and use the products in the brewery and for that to be the case, it's really good to see. So yeah, great.
Patrick from Nyköping Brewing here. Friday cheers with a very non-hop forward beer. We're having a smoked beer during the seminar. We will make trials, especially for low alcohol beers. So we'll get back with the results when we have any.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And thanks for the presentation. Very interesting.
No, thanks for taking the time to attend, and yeah, thank you to everyone. On a Friday afternoon, it's the week is coming to an end, so appreciate you guys sticking around and sharing your time.
I can talk about hops any day.
Is this presentation going to be shared, by the way? The one
Yes, we'll share this afterwards, yeah, so you can refer back to it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Now, because you didn't have to sign up, I don't have email addresses to everybody, but we will put it on the web page. Probably, I think we normally do when you log in on the web page and you press Yakima, we will do a link and you can download it. Also, watching this film afterwards.
Yeah, as mentioned.
Today, though, maybe next week it will be up.
Maybe Monday, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those videos, I think they're only 4 or 5 minutes long, so they're not too intense, but they give a good overview of the products and show some people using them hands-on, which is great.
Cool.
Yeah, and if we doesn't have any more questions, a huge thanks to Robbie and Xiavi for being here and enlightening us. Really interesting. And as you also said, Robbie, thanks to you spending time here. I hope you enjoyed it. Besides that, I wish you a really nice weekend.
And to you, yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.